Oh yeah, speaking of Shinra, Frank, I finally beat Rebirth. I beat it over the weekend. What do you think? I think the story parts are fantastic. The cutscenes are fucking great. All of the character interactions, they have fucking nailed. I wasn't expecting Barrett to be my favorite character in Rebirth. He was fucking incredible. Sid was perfect. Sid is so handsome. What the hell? Why do I have a crush on Sid? Highwind. Vincent, obviously I love him. I will always love Vincent. Vincent is fucking perfect. Red 13, adorable. When they finally got to Cosmo Canyon, that was great. I loved that. Even Aerith. Someone, like, I didn't like Aerith in original Final Fantasy VII. She was great. All of them were great. Yuffie's great. Kate Sith and Reeve, I fucking loved them. All of it. Like, Cloud losing his mind was, like, so believably done. Everything involving the story outside of the Kate Sith box throwing puzzle. That was terrible. Everything in the main story was great. The pacing for that was great. All of the story dungeons and shit, they were all fun as hell. I loved it. Exploring the world was so arduous and annoying. Exploring the world and having to do the exact same bullshit for every life spring. Like, it was the same 3-button thing, legitimately, every single time. Having to wait to see the little ding of progress every single time you do a world intel thing, it's just so fucking annoying. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's only a few seconds. But you do it like a few dozen times every map. It's the exact same shit. You shouldn't have, like, when the whole thing is just finding the life stream, why even bother doing the little, like, 3-button prompt? Why even have that in there? Just give you the progress when you find it. It's an unfailable thing. And like the towers and shit, having to climb those every time, like, it's not challenging, it's just time consuming. It's shit that's just like so annoying and so frustrating. And well, and that stuff too, that's not even the frustrating shit. Most of the times, just finding out how to get there is the frustrating thing, because you have the marker on your mini-map, or on your map, that tells you where to go for it, but it doesn't do anything for the elevation, so you still have no idea how the fuck to get there. And then when you finally do get there, you have to do like this minute-long climb or a stupid button prompt thing just to get it over with. And then like the proto-relic shit, some of them were great. I liked the Fort Condor one a lot, but like some of them were just really annoying. Like any combat thing having to do with Aerith was the most annoying thing on the planet. I don't understand how to make that bitch good in combat. And then like there's a million different minigames, which sounds cool, but like it feels like every minigame was either over or under explained. It was just unnecessarily complicated. And when you're 80 hours into a video game, and you have to learn the mechanics for another massively complicated fucking minigame, it's just so aggravating. It's just not fun. I loved Queen's Blood, I really liked Chocobo Racing. I feel like those were the only two that should have been as complicated as they were. But then you had that other fucking minigame with like the big fucking slime in the middle, and it was like a shittier version of Fort Condor, and it's just like, bro, why am I doing this now too? It's just a lot. Talked about the net. See, that's the thing, right? I knew a lot of people were complaining about Gongaga, and Gongaga was annoying. But for me, the most annoying part of the map was Cosmo Canyon. Something about Cosmo Canyon I just couldn't wrap my head around. Which is like weird, because floating around on the chocobos was pretty fun, but like Gongaga, I was able to find everything by myself. Inevitably. Cosmo Canyon, I had to look up guides on how to reach specific shit, because you could only reach certain heights if you took off at like very specific launch points that you had to work your ass off to find. It sucked. It fucking sucked. Cosmo Canyon was the only one I had to look up guides on how to find anything. At the opposite, yeah, it was weird. I was expecting to hate Gongaga way more, but it was definitely Cosmo Canyon for me. But yeah, so it's weird, like, because I haven't gotten as frustrated playing a video game in a long time until I played Rebirth. And it's just those like handful of sections, which is such a shame, because I feel like the parts that are good are so genuinely fantastic that it makes the parts that suck just like that much shittier. Yeah, I liked the ending. I liked all of the story shit. I thought it was all great. Like, I don't want to spoil the ending for people who haven't played it yet, but it does make me genuinely excited to see what they're gonna do with it in Part 3. It's also just one of those games, it's like, just looking at it. I feel like when I got to Gold Saucer, that was when it really hit home. That just looking at that game, you can just see how expensive that game was for them to make. Like, visually, it's nuts. They made so many little assets for every little thing. And so many of them, most people won't even notice, or it's on the screen for like 2 seconds and the player's not even looking at them. It's nuts. It's fucking gorgeous. But since it seems like that's not a profitable thing to do, especially considering their genius decision to make that PS5 exclusive, if they wanted to make an FF9 or FF8 remake, they don't need to make it look that beautiful. They could make it look slightly worse, because even slightly worse would still be fucking drop-dead gorgeous, as long as it plays fine. And in the same vein, it doesn't need to have as much random bullshit to do as Rebirth. Because I was thinking about this a lot too when I was playing Rebirth, because I beat 16 a while ago. FF16 doesn't have, I don't even know if it has like a minigame. I don't think it has any actual minigames outside of like random hunts. But that being said, like the little side quests you do, like the extra stuff you do in that is so much more fun because it's like, it feels like it has a point. It doesn't just feel tacked on for the sake of padding. So it's like, even though FF16 technically has less to do, it feels like a much better game than 7 because it's much more deliberate. Like, you don't need 1.5 million fucking minigames in your thing to make it good. Like, if you're adding something into your video game just for the sake of doing it, but it's not actually fun to play, you can just fucking take it out. That doesn't need to be in there. And then there's the obvious too, that like 16 is a complete story from start to finish and not a fragmented one, but I feel like that's kind of a more inconsequential argument considering like 16 is meant to be a complete thing and Rebirth is meant to be part 2 of a part 3 thing. But just like, goddamn, dude, so much of that extra stuff was just so fucking frustrating, like actively frustrating. It had me wonder like how much of it got tested, because that game is giant, you know? I was really wondering like if they even had time to test all of it, because with a game of that size and everything, like, yeah, it took 4 years for them to put it out, but 4 years doesn't seem like that much time for a game with that much crap in it. 15 was kind of put together a mess, but how bad was it with actual padding? In 15 was weird. The padding in 15 is mostly just the hunts, just going to hunt monsters, and that is so much better than the hunts in Rebirth, especially now with the update. I think when it first came out, you could only pick up 1 hunt at a time, which was bullcrap. But with the update, you can pick up however many and just go out and do them. And that's what makes that good, is that like you just pick up your hunts and then you go out and fucking do them and then you get your rewards for it. With Rebirth, when you get to a hunt, you have the fucking like Chadley AI bullshit talk at you for like a minute each time. And the only thing they say is the same shit that you would see when you assess the monster when you scan it. So they just give you like a lore dump for this enemy you're fighting as you're trying to fight it and as you're trying to do like specific tasks like stagger the enemy, pressure them, etc, etc. And then when you beat the fucking enemy, you have to stand still for 20 seconds as it lets you know that you did the goals for your fight, and then you have to wait longer as it does the little blip on your map to let you know that you're done. With 15, you just like, you fight the enemy, it's done, you move on. You don't stop moving. It's just the issue is the flow rather than the content itself. The flow for Rebirth is fucking terrible. It's like all the stuff that I'm complaining about would be fine if it just didn't break up the game flow. It's just like you have to pay attention just enough where you can't turn your brain off completely, but your brain has to be on to comprehend like the most annoying basic little things. Like most of the stuff isn't even that difficult, but it's just like, it's just annoying enough, you know? It's like, it's really weird to articulate because I don't know the last time I've played a game like that. Maybe Ubisoft games are like that. I've never gotten into the Assassin's Creed collectathon bullshit, but a lot of it just genuinely feels like padding and stuff to make the game feel longer for the sake of it, when it's like, it doesn't need that. Anytime I saw Will or someone come across Chadley, I just wanted Cloud to shove him into a locker. And that's the thing too, where it's like, a character like Chadley, I understand to give you extra content, you know? Because it's like, it's all just combat simulator bullshit. Combat simulator shit and little missions to get you new materia. I'm okay with that. But the problem is, like, he's in your face all the time. And the game gives you no reason to give a fuck about Chadley. He has no personality. The only time Chadley like showed a hint of humanity and a hint of being like, oh, this character might be interesting, was when you're trying to get the Alexander summon. And he mentions like some bit of mythos about Alexander and that parents of the olden days would tell their kids bedtime stories about Alexander, is that he was an entity for justice and he always like just wanted extreme justice, and if you ever acted up as a child, you better not, because Alexander's gonna come and he's gonna judge you. And Chadley was just like, Cloud, if I might be honest, I really like Alexander. I've actually thought about being intentionally bad, intentionally misbehaving to see if Alexander will come and put me in my place. And it's like, that's cool, that was interesting, but that was just one little blip. That was the one thing that made me be like, oh, is this a bit of personality from Chadley? What? But that was literally the only thing. That was the only thing he said or did to like give him any hint of personality. He's literally just a character just for those fucking missions. And like, I'm okay with the character being like that, but it's like, let me care about the character too. It doesn't have to be like a weird AI child, you know? It could have been like a Shinra employee, an ex-Shinra employee. It could have been a human. It could have been a character in FF7 that was repurposed to be that, like, to fulfill that role. You didn't have to make a weird, stupid AI baby Shota, who's like so fucking annoying, to do that. It's just a lot of little decisions like that that are just so confusing to me. But it's like, for a character that is so in your face all the time, I just wish they made it a character that anyone gave a fuck about. It makes me wonder what Japanese players think about Chadley, if they also hate him, or if that's mostly like a Western audience's hating Chadley thing. I'm genuinely curious about that. Maybe give his AI clone sister girlfriend self an existential crisis or something. Yeah, because I don't even know why they put her in it. Because she didn't offer anything to it either. Like, her whole personality, quote unquote, was just being like the same thing as Chadley, just an info dump, but a different inflection, like bubblier. Again, it just felt meaningless. There was no like arc or resolution with either one of them. Like, neither one of them had any bit of character development whatsoever. It was just weird. Which sucks, because like, again, I would have liked to like Chadley. You know? I don't play a long-ass game like that to hate a character. It's like, they really gave you just no reason to like them.